depending on who's playing quarterback, this could be a big loss. But instead, it's not a big loss because Brock races him upfield, slide up, and then right there, this right here, these next 5 steps, his eyes up and making this throw, that's what you're talking about, Josh. That brings value to the Shanahan offense. That's what makes what Brock's doing so special.
Welcome to Scheme. I'm Josh Norris. That is Josh McCown. It's Brock Purdy time. A true underdog. Pick 262, 8 quarterbacks selected before him. Didn't make his first start until December. But in 6 of the 7 games that Brock Purdy has played so far, Josh, the 49ers have scored more than 30 points. So, simple question over to you. Who is Brock Purdy?
Who is Brock Purdy? That's a great question. That's what everybody's talking about right now around the National Football League. And I'm going to take you back to when we covered CMC when he joined the 49ers back in the Scheme episode way back when. I was looking at that tape and going through it, and we were watching a game, and I saw the end of the Kansas City Chiefs game where Kansas City had won by a wide margin, so they put Purdy in. And I'm watching this young guy, and he snaps, and I don't think anything of it at the time, but he's making some throws. He's making some real mature throws. And I'm like, man, this kid's impressive. Don't think anything of it. And then here we are 6, 7 weeks later, 8 weeks later, this guy's rolling, and he's playing good football. And I think back to those snaps, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not surprising because that's what I saw on the tape in a small little sample size. So I want to take you into that right now, show you some of that, show you the things that I saw, probably the things that the 49ers were looking at that got them excited. And that's probably what led to why they believe so much in Brock Purdy. Okay, so Josh, I'm going to take you right to it. It's 44-23. Okay, the game is in hand for the Chiefs. They've got the win. It's 3 minutes left in the game. Most times in the NFL in this scenario, it's let's run the ball, let's get out of this game healthy, and let's move on to the next week. Yeah. Well, in comes young Brock Purdy. Okay, and his mindset is a little different. And good on Kyle Shanahan and the coaches there to take this moment to go, let's see what we have in this young player. So they come right out of the box throwing the ball. So I'm going to show you his first pass in the NFL and what was impressive to me about it. But, you know, he takes a snap, gets back. It's a 5 and a hitch drop, maybe a second hitch to confirm, and then you're throwing the ball to the out. Okay? And then what I love about this throw is that he feels the corner. Okay? He feels the corner, and he throws it in this, you know, normally if this corner is out of the picture, this guy's going to run out of this break, especially if he's got man-to-man coverage. But he throttles it down, and then Brock makes the appropriate throw. That's really good if you've been playing in the league 5, 6, 10, 12 years, okay? But when this is your first snap, you know, this is just, for me, that's what caught my eye that day so many weeks ago watching this tape. I was like, man, this is a mature throw here, you know, and there's a layering to it. Over this backer, and into this window. These are some things that you don't normally see from rookies. Normally from rookies, you're getting back at the top of that drop. You're either taking this nice, easy check down because that's what your coaches have coached you to do. Hey, man, if you get the ball, you know, it's in the game. Just plug it underneath, keep the clock rolling, and let's get out of here. But no, my man says, no thanks, coach. I'm going to get back here, and I'm going to read this, and I'm going to make a throw. And so love this play right off the bat from him. That was the first one that caught my eye. And then that led to, okay, let's just watch these last 2 minutes of this game. So 3rd and 10, they keep the ball rolling. On 3rd and 10, they don't just check the ball down and say, hey, let's get out of the game. Again, the same aggressive mindset they're taking with this young quarterback, and it shows you how much they believe in him, is let's give him things that he's going to have to handle in the future. And so they go with a 3-by-1 set, a dagger concept. So Kittle's running down the middle, clearing everything out. You want to pull this safety out of there, pull the underneath coverage. The slot player he's going to run a little hitch route to tie this defender down, and then they're just going to run this deep in right in behind them. So there should be a nice window. Okay, again, getting that done is it's easy in the meeting room. It's hard on the field, especially for a rookie who's not necessarily like this. Isn't Justin Herbert who's sitting there at 6'5", who can see the whole field very easily. You know, this is a shorter player, so there's some concern that is he ever going to get blocked out? Can he see the field? And he shows you right here, no, I'm just fine, coach. I can see the field. You see him, a gentle slide. This footwork right here in the pocket, Josh, this gentle slide, again, Those are mature things that usually you don't see until maybe year 2, 3, 4 from a quarterback. Sometimes never, and it's what I love when I watch it from the end zone right here. That subtle little slide. And nice even shoulders. The body mechanics are good. Nice even shoulders. Subtle slide and delivers the football. And again, those things are those are not markings of a rookie. Those are very mature things. A rookie, maybe when he has a slide, he breaks his hands, he takes off. This guy, he just slides on over, makes a nice throw.
You mentioned 7 years. This is his 7th snap. So that he's already showing this and just willing to rip it. I mean, that's what stood out to me. We're going to get into a ton of these plays, Josh.
You look at those two, and I know what you're thinking. You're going, Josh, those two guys are wide open. Like, right. I get it, Mr. Irrelevant. But anybody, even Mr. Irrelevant, could make that throw. So we can keep watching the tape. And again, you're going to see it because I was with you. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, good job, kid. But these guys are wide open. But this was the one that did it for me. Hey, write Brock Purdy's name down. This dude's a guy to watch. Tight man-to-man coverage this time, and he is cutting this ball loose into this spot. And one of the things you have to have in this league is anticipation. Because if you can deliver the ball out of a guy's cut, the most open he's going to be are the first few steps out of the cut, because that's when in the sequence of a play, that's when the separation is the most, because that's the most surprising moment for the DB. It's like, oh, he just did something different. So there's separation. And then the DB begins to close that separation. So when you anticipate as a passer, you take advantage of that separation gained. I love this by Brock Purdy because he's able to take advantage of that separation here. Those feet on a lot of rookies, they dance and then they bail out of the pocket. Brock finds his back foot. The ball's up and it's out. And then let's look at the location here, Josh, and just appreciate that for a moment of just where he's putting this ball away from the defender. Anticipation goes for a quarterback can travel into any building that you play for, because it's a gift. It's when you can anticipate, you can always find open receivers because you can take advantage of that separation they gain. So these 3 snaps, saw him 8 weeks ago, was encouraged by it. And I would say that seeing what he's done now and what he's been able to do, I am surprised at the level of success, right. But the way he's been able to move the football, I'm not, because you could see it in that drive. And I guarantee the 49ers coaches were excited at the end of this Kansas City game and probably very encouraged by their young quarterback.
And to that note, Kyle Shanahan is one of the best in the league at manufacturing that separation for his wide receivers, for his pass catchers, right? Manufacturing that space. And so, at its most basic level, if you have a quarterback who, once he sees it, he rips it with confidence, on time, with placement, that's kind of all he needs. I'm not saying that that's all Brock Purdy is, because we're going to get into some different layers of his game, but seeing that 3 plays that you just signaled out in the first 10 snaps of his career after coming cold and 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a blowout loss, that's, little seeds, little growth of maybe this tree that we have seen grow ever since then.
That's a great point, Josh. And I think credit needs to be given to Brian Griese. Okay. My man, Brian Griese, comes out of the booth, becomes the quarterback coach of the 49ers. And so when a kid comes in, cold off the bench and plays this way, you said it, Kyle's offense, all of everything is helping this kid be successful. But I tell you, the sacred place in 32 buildings is the quarterback room. We talk about it all the time. And not enough is being said about the job that Brian Griese has done getting this young man ready to play. And the seeds, that's a great word, Josh, the seeds that were planted, that were probably sown in there by Brian in those meetings, are bearing fruit right now, right before our eyes.
Well, what about pressure? Doing all these scheme episodes with you. In fact, some rookie quarterback prospects coming up in the 2023 NFL draft. Hopefully you tune into those with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young and many to come. Go and subscribe to the channel down below. I know it's not just about hitting those throws in the pocket that we just talked about that are open, that Kyle Shanahan does such a good job of manufacturing. It's also about what happens when you're moved off your spot. Well, luckily, in his first career NFL start, Brock Purdy faced off against Todd Bowles, a defensive play caller who is known at throwing all these crazy looks at young quarterbacks and, forcing them into situations they don't want to be. How did Brock handle this one?
The plays we just showed are just in the pocket. Like, okay, let me see the requisite things needed to play quarterback in the NFL. Boom, got him. Now your first start, it's all coming at you. Can you move? Can you make some throws? And you're going to see right off the bat, Brock making some nice moves in the pocket, finding an outlet, and really starting to play point guard on the grass, like some of the stuff we're seeing and getting used to more and more consistently now. This is what we saw early on from him. But this is just going to be a tradition kind of power pass, boot pass, where they've got the guard pulling out in front. We saw this last week from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Remember, these are your heavy, your heavy boot throwbacks that you like, Josh. This is part of that category. They're dressing it up with CMC, and then this is the same route we featured last week with C.J. Stroud, where they're over the top, and then you have this crosser coming. Well, somebody's in Brock's face, right? They're in what we call a bear defense, where you have our jam defense, but you have the guard, center guard are all covered. So we call that like a bear or a jam defense, and it's like a 5-man run stopping pressure defense. So they're throwing 5 at Brock on the play action. There's nice action to Debo. All right, and then we get penetration. All right, leakage as we call it, leakage. And then there's the movement. And again, the head's not down like, oh crap, what just happened? Let me get out of here. He makes the move, and then his eyes are up, and he becomes a distributor again. Finds George Kittle on a check down, and so a first down, a base passing down play that we talk about all the time, remaining on schedule, keeping the play caller on schedule. A first down pass play that could have gone awry. We could be looking at 2nd and 17 on a sack, or 2nd and 12, scramble up, get close to the line, but get tackled. Instead, we're looking at a first down, a gained first down.
We see so many of these young players at the position who, once they see that interior disruption and they know that, hey, these routes are down the field and they're open, but I'm in panic stations. I can't reset. I can't have the game slow down. And Brock doing that with a delayed release tied in right over his face in the middle of the field and hitting that shows a lot. And I just want to bring up here, this is the 3rd quarterback that we've seen this season for the San Francisco 49ers. And on some level, Josh, like all of their traits are a little bit different. You have Trey Lance, obviously you open the season, that we know who Jimmy is in terms of that distributor over the middle of the field. But I think in what that play just outlined and what this next one's going to outline too, is the quick twitch nature that Brock Purdy gives this team. And I think that fits exactly into the plays that Kyle Shanahan is calling, how it allows him to beat these types of pressure looks and interior disruption immediately. And it's something I think that neither of those other quarterbacks, despite being drafted and the draft capital attached to them so much higher, again, it's this little extra skill that Brock brings to the table.
There's an intangible. There's Mr. Irrelevant. This is Mr. Intangible. Like there's something in here that this kid, it slows down for him. It slows down for him when he's playing. And I have to credit to the coaches for setting the table for him to be able to do that. And so I think Kyle's offense is perfect for that. We've seen that, and it's a credit to them and their ability to scheme people and get people open and run the football the way they do to help this young man. But it's proven well. But this short space quickness, I think, is an added value that makes this offense even more potent.
If you love fantasy sports, you have to check out Underdog Fantasy. Underdog users have already won over $200 million in prizes, and you could be next. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com to get started.
What we're going to unpack in this play is this quickness, this physical ability that Brock has in the short space to keep his eyes up, that he takes this tradition Kyle Shanahan play, they're selling wide zone, and they run this play so well that the response from the linebackers is appropriate. They got to go, okay? And this is the guy we're trying to put in a bind, okay?
Who plays it perfectly.
Just real quick, if you were in the gun, this would be the guy you were zone reading. If you evolve football and you talk about that, this is kind of the zone read. Well, this is the zone read before the zone read, okay? Way back when, and it still translates to today. Depending on who's playing quarterback, this could be a big loss. But instead, it's not a big loss because Brock races him upfield, slide up, and then right there, this right here, these next 5 steps, his eyes up and making this throw, that's what you're talking about, Josh. That brings value to the Shanahan offense above and beyond its already potency. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's what makes what Brock's doing so special. We saw the 5-man pressure, okay? Then we saw off the play action, the defensive end playing him, makes him miss. So he's answered a couple of those things. So now, from a defensive play calling, let's go after him. Okay, so now we're in a 3rd and 5. and we're going to get a 6-man pressure. So now we're adding people to the equation here to try to get him off his spot, to try to unnerve this young quarterback. Now, this is a Logan Ryan, okay? And in this situation, the safety's walked out, so it gives it – we talk about it all the time. It gives you a coverage ID as a quarterback. There's a coverage ID. Okay, it's probably man-to-man, a safety matched up on a back. If it was a corner, you'd probably think more zone. Now it's a safety, you think more man. So now you see his hat, he kind of peeks over there. You can kind of see his hat, he kind of looks over there. He's confirming that right there. He's confirming this is good coaching. Let me see who's, oh, yeah, that's Logan Ryan. Good. We're going to go after him. And then the route that they're going to run, it's a go route, but CMC's going to set it up. He's going to push off, and I don't believe this is a slant and go. I think they're just running a go, but he's just setting it up, sticking his foot hard, and then running a go route. And I think this was part of it, is just like, hey, if you're matched up on a linebacker or a safety that we believe is favorable, we're going to start with you. So that would be the coaching point in the meeting room. Hey, Brock, check out there. If a safety, depending on which safety maybe, or a linebacker walks out there with CMC, let's start with the go route. If not, now we'll work the out route. He's got an over route coming to it, and that'll be the progression. CMC will be running for the love of the game, and then we'll just work 1 to 2. But if you do get man and you feel pressure, especially, that's your answer. Let's take that matchup. Let's let CMC run by this guy. That's why we traded for him, and let's see what we get. So let's let it play. There's the internal pressure. It's man-to-man, just like we suspected, just like the coverage ID told us up top. And Brock knows exactly what to do with the football. A little skip step there, right here, to find your back foot. He's finding his back foot. He's bracing himself for impact, but he's knowing, I got a touchdown. This is a great feeling as a quarterback. When you know, like, it's man, you know everything that's about to happen, and you feel it. It's just a great, even though you know you're about to get hit, you're like, this is going to be dope. I'm about to throw this ball down here. I'm going to get killed, but it's going to be a touchdown. You know you're going to be tested in your first start as a rookie. And we tell rookies all the time, like, hey, they're going to come after you. If you answer, even if you don't score a touchdown, if you just put the ball in play and show them that you know that there's an issue with the protection and that you got to get the ball out, it'll probably ease that up a little bit. But if you show them in this way, where you throw a touchdown, now you've really put them on notice, not just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but 31 other teams, that, hey, man, you can't just come after me. All right, I'm going to make you pay.
I'm kind of going again through these traits checklists that you've taught me a little bit. So see it and rip it with confidence. We've got that. Movement against pressure, getting off a spot. Can he win off of doing that? Yes, he can. And what you always talk to me about is like just placement. And placement can be a number of things. It can be accuracy, but can also be throwing away from coverage, low and away, so on and so forth. So talk me through a couple of those plays too.
We talked about it last week with CJ Stroud and evaluating him, like what's really open and where can you locate the ball, and how hard that is for young players to really wrap their head around. And so we start to look at that with Brock, and just a couple of these plays here that we're going to feature is just showing you his sense of awareness of where the ball needs to be put, exactly where the ball needs to be put. And these are going to be, relatively simple looking plays, but if the location isn't right, it's probably a different outcome. All right. So they've got man-to-man down here in the goal line. We've already talked about his ability, if you rush 5 and play man, to beat you. And he's going to have George just on this corner route. George is going to kind of put a little stank on it at the top and break back to the corner. He's going to beat the guy, and the guy's going to be trailing. And so his hat is not going to be looking at Brock. That's maturity number one, is to see when a guy's not looking at you, throw it right by his ear. It doesn't matter. And then the next thing is Brock knows the personnel, right? That he's got George Kittle, who's a big, tall tight end with a tall frame. So the ball needs to be located up top. Let's locate it up top. Guy's trailing me with his hat behind me. If I locate the ball here, he's never going to see it. We're going to get a touchdown. There's George. He loses him right there, breaks him inside, and then takes him back out. And then there's a ball high and away. And again, a lot of guys you watch every Sunday have the same opportunity, and it's either behind the guy or they throw it right at him, and that DB makes up for it, knocks the ball down. And so I just love the location of the throw. And it's one that really good quarterbacks don't miss, and they put it right where they want it to be, and Brock did it on that play. All right, Josh, so staying with location. All right, we took you top shelf. Now we're going to go down low. So they're going to take a corner here up top. All right, McCaffrey's going to check protection and come out on an angle route. George is coming over in motion, so that gives us a coverage ID there. and Georgia's going to run the crosser. Now you're going to have like this kind of chair whip or whip return kind of concept over here with Jennings. So he's on the dig. The coaching point here will be to get into the wake of that receiver where he just left. So if you're in the wake of that receiver and then break back out to pull this underneath coverage out if you were to get quarters. Well, this isn't going to be quarters. This is going to be man-to-man, okay? But what kind of man, Josh? It's a great question. This is going to be what we call like cover 11 robber, okay?
Oh.
And so robber means that there's going to be a low-hole player here in the middle that's robbing this defense. And what really good robber teams do is if you run crossers like this with George, the guy that's covering him, so this backer is going to come over. He's going to be in coverage right here. Let me take all this color off the TV. There we go.
Looks a little complicated. Maybe a complicated game you guys play.
Yeah, it's really complicated. So I'm going to show you when George comes across, this is what's unique about this defense. And what's really tough is in robber, when George comes across, this low hole player is going to take him. And now I am going to change assignments, and now I'm going to become the low hole player, the linebacker
pass
here.
It off.
Pass it off. That's correct. Very good, Josh. So as a quarterback, this fools young quarterbacks. I've thrown this interception before, right here, but like 4 or 5 years ago, threw one of the Bills. I think Jordan Poyer might have got it. My good buddy got me on a pick. He passed it off. It was a shorter route combination. It wasn't going as deep, but he passed it off, and I hit him right. It was pretty pass. And I hit him right in the chest. But right here, they're going to pass it off. Brock's going to feel that, okay, and he's going to take Jennings on the end cut. But he's going to throw this ball, again, location. He's going to throw this ball low and away. All right, so the last one we saw up top to George Kittle. Now feeling coverage, awareness, and processing, but also timing, accuracy, location. Here comes Jennings out of the break. And this ball is going to be located right down here on his right hip. Jennings goes down and gets it, and we have a first down, okay? And these are difference-making throws in the NFL, okay? This is what kind of the average to above average and great players do, okay? And when you make these kind of throws, these kind of location throws, you give your team a chance to keep the ball moving because third down is so critical. And these are some of the things that are separating Brock from the rest of the rookie quarterbacks.
Josh, we've picked from the top shelf, bottom shelf, as you said, low and away. Those are all from the pocket, though. What about, since we know it's part of his game, moving away from his spot? Can he pick his location from there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've got a good shot of it right here against the Las Vegas Raiders. All right. So, they're going to empty this thing out. Okay. And teams will play you multiple ways in the red zone, especially if you get into empty. They're either going to pressure you and make the ball come out, or they're going to drop and put everybody in coverage. And so what the Vegas Raiders decide to do here is they're dropping 8 people in coverage. So you see, there's just a lot of defenders everywhere. This defensive lineman right here, drops into coverage, okay? They're banking on the ball coming out. They're banking on you sticking to your coaching, getting the ball out in rhythm, and them having more people in coverage and picking the ball off or knocking the ball down. What's great about what Brock does here is I think he feels that there's only a 3-man pass rush, all right? I'd love to talk to him about this and say, hey, what were you seeing? How did you feel this? But there's a 3-man pass rush, so you have more time, okay? You have more time. It's hard to unwire your brain to that kind of timing that we've been talking about that we're chasing from young quarterbacks. Like, hey, get back there, get the ball out. Get back there, get the ball out. Now it's, hey, they just rushed 3. You got time. Like, you can actually go against the rules that we've taught you. You can bounce back there and sit. So he kind of bounces, and then he spins out to kind of give himself a little bit more space, but flips around. He's not panicked because he knows they're only rushing 3. And then your question, Josh, can he make the location throws when he's moving, when the picture has changed, when he's off his spot? And the answer is yes. So he went top shelf, bottom shelf, in the pocket. Can you move and do it? Can we add things to you and you still see those traits that we're already seeing from you? And the answer is yes with Brock Purdy because he continues to do it. But here's the deal, and this is what's cool in coaching is he doesn't have to leave. It's a drop 8 coverage.
Right.
All right. So see this guy, he's
dropping. So you're almost changing the angles when you do move?
Yes, and because if you feel drop 8, you have more time. And what they're banking on, this is what's crazy about the league. What the defensive coaches are banking on is that you're going to stick to your timing. You're going to stick to the ball's got to come out. The ball's got to come out. and we're going to drop 8 and we're going to pick the ball off or knock the ball down because we've got more in coverage. What really mature quarterbacks will do is say, okay, you turkeys, you dropped 8, not me. You decided to only rush 3. So I'm going to make a pizza back here or do something. I'm going to hang out. And so what he does, kind of what you're saying, where he bounces. Okay, let me get out. Let me just hang out. So I like this because it's him showing you, like, I know, you guys are just rushing 3. So let me just move over, kind of reset the pocket a little bit and take advantage of that. So, and this is, Patrick Graham, defensive, from New England. This is something that they've done. They've done a lot the last 5 years. So this tracks, but yeah, this is sweet. He moves, still makes a top shelf throw again. Love it.
Last on my mental checklist, eyes, Josh McCown. We talk about it all the time where younger quarterbacks have a tendency to lock on to that one read and they'll just follow that through a whole progression. Instead, I want to look here at Brock Purdy and see if he's using his eyes along with Kyle Shanahan to manipulate what the coverage and what the defense is in front of him.
So you're going to get your deep pylon. You're going to get that deep cross, and then underneath with Kittle. Now, normally, sometimes it's a 3-level route in some way, shape, or form. Normally, this is a heavy play action route. Okay, so this is not run from drop back as much. Okay, so to your point, Josh, they manipulate underneath defenders by faking the football. Like that's usually how they get that done, especially for a young quarterback. But what I love about this play is in a staple concept for them. Okay, this pylon cross, this staple concept, that this young player is going to use his eyes to get that done the same way they would do it with a ball fake. So you see right there, there's no fake happening in the backfield. These two guys are helping in protection, okay? There's a 7-man protection. So the good thing is you're protected as a quarterback. So now I can come on back. I know I got 7 guys protecting me, but I need to use my eyes to manipulate people because there's no fake happening, all right? And so I like that his hat gets down the middle because his hat down the middle is going to help level this defender up. So there's space over here for the football. Then he's going to snap his head back. We're going to see this from the end zone to draw these 2 guys down onto this shallow. And now there's going to be a huge cavity right back here for the football, okay? And he's just going to lay it in, and he's wide open. And so the throw, we're not really talking about the throw. We just talked about location, okay? We analyze that. But right here, what we're talking about, as you said, Josh, is the eyes. That's what's most impressive is in a drop-back passing game as a young player, can you use your eyes? When his hat's down the middle like this in a cover 3 shell defense that they're playing, it's going to get these players to get vertical, which is going to allow him to get over in this space behind him quicker. He's confirming that this release is clean, okay? He's confirming that release is clean. That release is clean. That linebacker has leveled up. And now I'm going to snap back and find the hook and the flat defender over here and trust that my boy George is going to tie those guys down. So you see his eyes are now onto these guys. So they're tied down. And right there, Josh, that hitch. See how his eyes are down on George when he hitches?
Yep.
That's crucial because if we go back and look at the wide view, that flat defender, as Brock's foot is hitting, that flat defender he's dropping, his foot hits because he stops when the quarterback stops. So he's going to start to drive that route from Kittle, and it's creating a space back there behind him for the ball. And so it's a nice, easy throw. These are the guys I'm talking about. When his back foot hit, they came up, they stopped dropping. This guy drove Kittle's route, and now there's this huge cavity. So it's very good to see Brock do this because a lot of times you're thinking they're getting these big chunk plays based on Kyle's ability to scheme the run and then to scheme the run and the play action together, and that would be correct assumption. But what they're growing to is going, we can trust our young quarterback to do this with his eyes as well, and that's very encouraging. And it's scary for the rest of the league, especially heading into second round of the playoffs, because it really means the sky's the limit. You talk about the talent that they have on the roster. Now you have a functioning quarterback that can make some of these high-level reads and throws and manipulate the defense in a drop-back passing game. And it's going to be scary, and they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Just to spin this all the way back, I think a conversation a lot of fans watching the games at home might say, because it's been, a compact, short time frame that we've seen Brock Purdy at quarterback. Was he just a flash in the pan, or is he legit? I think you've outlined reasons why he is legit and how he hits, so many points on the checklist. Josh, I think it's almost transcended that now to the point of well, is he legit enough where he's not just, the 2022, 2023 quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers? Is he not just the present, but is he also the future of this team? Because to go through that checklist, we talked about placement. We talked about see it, rip it. We talked about the quick twitch. We talked about winning on plays that extend beyond 3 seconds. Trey Lance has maybe a few of those skills. Jimmy Garoppolo has the longevity and production and another few of those skills as well in this offense. But dare I say that maybe the guy that hits the majority of them might not have the strongest arm in the league of the Herberts, the Josh Allen, the Mahomes, but offers so many of these and is consistently showing it on a weekly basis so far of that grouping. It might be Brock Dan Purdy.
Brock Dan Purdy. It very well may be, Josh. That's a great point. And, it's going to be a great problem for the 49ers moving forward. They've got 2 really good players. And if you throw Jimmy in the mix, 3 really good players that have shown ability to function in their offense. I think if Trey Lance was doing this, we'd be putting a gold jacket on him, right? Yeah. As the 3rd overall pick, we'd be anointing him and saying he's the guy. And so there's always this hesitation because of where you're picked. And it's so weird in the league. You get kind of viewed that way your whole career. It's like there's always this hesitation because of where you're picked. But let's not ignore what's happening, okay? And so that's an exciting, I would love to be John Lynch, and I would hate to be John Lynch. I mean, and Kyle, you got some decisions to make moving forward. But again, it's a good problem to have. This is no slight to Trey Lance. Like I believe Trey Lance is going to be a fine player. Like he's going to be a really good player. You just happen to have this thing happen where this guy gets to play, and he's showing that he can also be a really good player. It's just that he was picked so low. So I think there's always going to be hesitation because of where he was picked for people to jump on board and fully believe. But moving forward, I think they're sitting pretty or Purdy for the quarterback position for the 49ers because they've got some real talent there. And as history has shown us with their team, multiple guys may have to play. It's just the luck that they've drawn there in San Francisco, and you don't want to plan on that, but it's proven now that they need to have more than one that can play, and maybe more than 2, and they'll be in good shape moving forward.
Yeah. What great evaluations from that organization too to find this guy with the last pick
no doubt
of the draft. I mean, eye manipulation, body movement, the funky releases, that movement to escape without panic, the eyes. We've seen it all. Like we've seen it all on this episode. And again, I'll keep coming back to now that you have to account for the quick twitch quarterback movement on top of the crazy yak threats that they have, on top of the play calling that Kyle Shanahan brings to the table. It is the complete package. And as you mentioned, both he and Trey Lance are on rookie contracts. So it's not like they're forced to make a decision this offseason. They can kind of ride it out for the next summer, year, 2 years, and see that where it takes them from there. This has been really cool, Josh. Thanks for diving into, I'm sure you love your underdogs, You love your underdogs. So seeing Mr. Irrelevant do this.
This is underdog fantasy in real life. Like this is the underdog fantasy to be Mr. Irrelevant and to take your team to the playoffs and start and make a run. And then let's see if these things hold up. That's the thing moving forward with a young player. Does the evaluations, do they hold up with Brock Purdy? It's going to be fun to watch.
As Josh McCown said, subscribe to the channel. Go and check out all of the other Scheme episodes. And if your team is searching for a player that maybe can measure up to the likes of Brock Purdy, again, we have the Bryce Young episode. We have the CJ Stroud episode. We'll have some other quarterbacks on the way too. If you want us to do a specific offense, specific player, anything, leave a comment down below. Josh McCown reads them all.
Down below.
Reads them all. And we will see you next week. Another episode of Ski.